Let's talk about it. Oh, classic. Them Harlem niggas gonna be feeling this. East Coast nigga. But hot trill is this. My shit. The passion in the shit, man. The fucking beat. The vocals. Come on. East Coast nigga. Listen to this shit, man. You don't give a shit, my ignorance. Stone Cold. Rolling Stone, I'm a stone nigga. Write it in my tombstone. I was stone nigga. Don't remember me as a wannabe New Orleans nigga slash sipping Tennessee nigga. Nah. Who's by Houston, hear it in my music. The trill nigga to the true. Show you how to do this. Yo, the passion. Gotta go fail cause I'm so trill. Yo. Oh my god, I love that record. And that Live Love ASAP, decade is coming up, man. Crazy. Crazy. Let's talk about it, man. So, Squid Games. This has got to be the best shit I've seen in a long time. This is an instant classic, in my honest opinion. And this is a perfect example of something where, the hype is real. It happens. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen from time to time where hype is actually reality. I saw this maybe, I would say 4 or 5 days ago, the full thing. This video is kind of been a ways coming, but yeah, man, I wanted to check it out because I kept hearing about the Squid Game shit, right? And I'm like, hype, and I was like, you know what? Let me just try this shit out. Let me just watch an episode. So I sit there, I watch the first episode, and I'm like, okay, this is dope. This is actually well written. I could tell right away that it was very well written. Even from the first 15 minutes, it got me interested. I wasn't fully committed to the show, but at least in the first 15 minutes, I was able to tell that I was watching something that had good writing, right? Compare that to Alice in Borderland, by the way. Alice in Borderland is not as well written. You can tell within the first 15 minutes. I'm a writer. I can tell when something is well written in a lot of cases. So anyway, Squid Games, it drew me in from the first episode. And then something really interesting happened. And by the way, I guess at this point I should say, hey, my video is going to come with spoilers. So if you have not seen the show, I think this is the point where you're going to have to exit, unfortunately, okay? This is for everybody who has seen it, okay? Because I don't want to, I want to talk about this, my thoughts in general, and I would love to see your comments in the comment section. So, anyway. Here's the issue. Here's the thing that drew me in. They let them leave. I thought that shit was brilliant. I've never seen that in a, sort of Hunger Games type of show. Now, again, Squid Game is not necessarily the most unique idea in the world. For, people like myself and, I'm sure some of y'all who might have grown up watching anime, East Asian cinema, it's a very common concept. Again, it's Lord of the Flies. It's a very human concept anyways. The idea of, people fighting in a game, for reward or money or something competing in this society, right? It's a concept that's not necessarily new. But, again, if you watch Gantz, Battle Royale, Sword Art Online, all that stuff was in there, right? And I've watched all this stuff, right, prior to Squid Game. So it's not like the idea was necessarily the most unique thing ever. However, what I loved about Squid Game is in that second episode, they let them go home. I thought that shit was a stroke of genius. And I've never seen that, actually, when I think about these sort of battle games and things like that. They let them go home. And I remember thinking, oh, okay, what the fuck? It's over? They just let them go like that? So when they chose to come back, I was like, yo, they actually chose to come back to this shit. And it makes sense why they came back. That's the thing. The statement on human behavior was so strong to me in that moment, where it was like, you know what? Yes, unfortunately, people are that desperate. And people who are desperate tend to pick bad situations. Not that they tend to, but I would say they can find themselves in really bad situations. They know some shit is bad, and they're like, nah, but I don't have another. They feel like they don't have another choice, or these are the kind of people who, they have personality flaws, because a lot of these guys in this show, they all had weirdo personality flaws and issues. They were human, but these were people that were kind of like, they had problems, mental issues, I would argue, It wasn't just that they were in debt. I mean, they had emotional issues. And the point is that how easy is it to brainwash somebody, right? And how easy is it to convince someone to do something, to act in a way that actually deep down works against them? We see this all the time in politics. We see this all the time in life. So for Squid Game to kind of make a comment on that and show that in their show, to me, was genius. And I was in. Once that shit happened, because I wasn't expecting that. Once that happened, I was like, oh, this show, there's something special about this fucking show. I gotta watch this shit. And then from there, it just was like one fucking floored, amazing thing happened after the other. So did I love it? Absolutely. I absolutely loved it. There's like little things that I kind of had issues with, like minor things, I think that the whole brother who was looking for the cop guy, who was looking for his brother who turned out to be the front man. I mean, that storyline was super engaging and interesting, but it kind of went nowhere. It just was like, oh, and then he gets shot and he falls off a cliff. I was like, oh, that's it? So that was kind of like, I would say, my only like major criticism. I also thought that the old man, the reveal is brilliant, but I think it could have been done better in a way, if possible. But I think the idea of him, being part of the games and being a creator of it is genius. Like, I didn't see that coming at all. And again, that's something, Sword Art Online, I think, had something like that, where like it turned out that one of the players in the game was actually like the creator of the game, and you couldn't even kill him. You try to kill him and he had like infinite life. Again, it's not like it's not been done before, but it's the idea of it, of how they pulled it off, was unique. And I think that's what I liked about Squid Game, is that the philosophical stakes, the meaning of it was just raised more. It wasn't just a game. It was like you're watching people who are trying to sort out their emotional problems through this game, right? In a sense, this like they're trying to solve this debt that they have, and in a way, some of them are just also like tired of life, and they're just like it's like watching them go through a slow death wish type of thing. So anyways, I thought it was phenomenal. And I don't think there's honestly a show that I've seen in the last decade that can compete with it. I'm going to be real with you. I liked the first season of Game of Thrones. The first season of Game of Thrones was good. I remember at the time when I saw it, it didn't hit me like that. Like I saw the first episode of Game of Thrones when it came out, and I was like, well, this is cool. And then I only recently, within the last year or so, went back and watched the whole first season, and I liked it. And I think it's strong writing. It's great writing, great direction, great acting, the whole nine. But Squid Game just hits me more, because to me, Squid Game just has more meaning. It just means more overall. Like, again, it's not just I'm watching some guys in Europe, in old Europe, deciding who has the crown. It's like, I don't care. Who cares? What does this really have to do with me? But when I watch the Squid Game, there's things about the Squid Game that people, that happen where I'm like, oh, that relates to life as I know it. Or that's a comment, a statement on things that I notice in human behavior, like in my life. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the point. Like, the shows that really get to that philosophical stakes and do it well, it's pretty rare. And that's why Squid Game, I think, is really, gaining that traction. It's the best thing I've seen in a while, man. And of course, it had the Matrix references and all that, because again, the Matrix, as I've told people for many, many years, is arguably the greatest film ever made. I mean, especially in the action genre. Now, again, there's a lot of great films, so I wouldn't say it's the greatest film ever made. There's a lot of amazing films that have been made throughout history. But when you're talking about the action, sci-fi, fantasy genre type of thing, The Matrix, to me, hands down. I don't even think there's another movie that's close. I'm going to be honest with you. And again, it's because The Matrix has a meaning to it that other films just don't even attempt to approach. It's not just the film, like, where you're just like, oh, that was cute. I was entertained for 2 hours. Like, it's like, it forces you, there's a mystery element that forces you to reflect on life in general. And it makes grander statements about society and how society behaves and what we think about and stuff like that. And that's what I want to watch. you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't necessarily just want to watch some shit to have my mind go away, like, for a couple of hours. Like, not my cup of tea. Anyway, I fucking loved it. I cannot think of a show that's just good, honestly. I really cannot, man. Black Mirror, well, it was cool, but again, Squid Games it just hit me better. And I think there's a lot of shows now, man, that get hyped and marketed, and everyone's got that woke agenda that they tie to it, and blah blah. But a lot of these shows that people are making in LA and on other places, man, they're just not good. They're not great. They're not things that capture the imagination. And you see it with Squid Game. Look at Squid Game and how fast it just sort of took over. I mean, there's something there, man. When you come out with real shit, and this is what I'm, gonna end my video with saying, is that, like, real shit speaks for itself, man. We can deal with listening and watching bullshit for a long time, and it happens. But when real shit comes out, people go, whoa, what the fuck? And then, for a while, like, stuff starts to look lame. Like, I was looking at some of the trailers for some of the upcoming stuff, like the Batman movies and things like that, and I'm just like, this is fucking lame. Like, I'm sorry, I just watched the Squid Games. Like, I don't give a fuck about any of this stuff that's going on right now. This is just another he show that, like, is gonna be forgettable. You know what I mean? I mean, I think this is the whole point, right? Like, real shit, that's why it's important for real shit to come out, right? I was just playing Rocky. Rocky was some real shit. When real shit comes out the fucking gate, it changes shit. You know what I mean? Anyway, man. Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend, and we're going to talk later.